What's up guys, Rab here from Rabtastic Paints. Slightly new angle today. My webcam is looking terrible, so I'm using the phone on the stand at the side of my desk. So, slightly new angle. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent already, we haven't even started. A few days ago, I was sitting here in this very chair, talking to some friends on Discord, when we found out that Games Workshop were remaking the Battle of Balin's Tomb board game. I had a little look at it and I thought to myself, I could make that. I can make it better. And probably cheaper than Games Workshop. Now I had some leftover wooden board and I decided to paint it marble using the cheat technique for painting marble. Basically you base coat it black, then you get some baby wipes, or in this case dog wipes, and you stretch them out so that they don't quite tear but they're almost tearing. You lay them over it, spray paint gold, take them off, get a new wipe, stretch that out, and once it's dried obviously, put it on top and you spray paint it white and you end up with this great marble technique. Once you're done you end up with something like this. This isn't as good as my bases turned out, but I put that down to running out of white spray paint. Running out of things is going to be a theme for this video. The next step was to score the board so it looked like marble tiles as opposed to one huge block of marble. So I used a scalpel and then actually used a compass, like the sort of compass that you'd use in school for drawing circles. It was really good for scoring a line in some quite thin wood without any danger of sort of snapping it. So scored that and then I gave it a good old wash with some homemade Nuln oil. Now all this is water, fairy liquid or washing up liquid, I don't know what you call it in America, dish soap, fairy liquid we call it, and a spot of black paint and give it a bit of colour obviously. Give that a good mix and then I liberally I applied a lot of it to the board to give it sort of weathered look rather than brand new marble, because these are not the glory days of Khazad-dûm. I left that dry overnight and the next day it was time to play with foam. I got foam boards and I was really just laying them out to see how much I would need, what I would need to chop, and just sort of drawing rough ideas of what's going to go where. I knew that I wanted a raised platform around the entire board as well as walls on all four sides, and I didn't know if I wanted a door or not, or just a gap. I eventually settled for an arch, but yeah, so that was the plan, was just get the boards on the table, start drawing them out so I knew what I needed to cut and how much of it I needed to cut and how much I'd have left over. I had to be really careful because it took long enough for these boards to get here. If I ran out of foam or wasted too much of it, I was going to be in serious trouble and we might have had to start again. Once I was happy with the layout, it was time for the incredibly satisfying job of cutting the foam with the hot wire cutter. This is a great piece of tool. When I made the Oscillus board, I didn't have to cut a lot of board because I bought the exact right size. I only had to cut a little bit for the water, so it didn't really matter if it was jagged, but this was incredible. I loved it. I actually want to go and buy more board just to cut it with this hot wire. I think I'm going to use it for some cheese as well. I reckon if I melt some cheese with it, might save some time in the oven for the toasted cheese. Toasting cheese? Roasted cheese? What do you call it? Jade calls it roasted cheese. I've never brought this up with her, but that's wrong. Roasted cheese doesn't involve bread. There's no bread in roasted cheese. It's toast and cheese. Oh, it doesn't matter. I know you're going to say, oh, but the cheese is melted. It doesn't matter. It's still toast and cheese. Toasted cheese, which is what Americans call it. That's even worse. That's if you toast cheese, again, no bread. Toast and cheese. With all the pieces cut correctly, luckily, it was time to stick them together. Now, what I did was I used toothpicks to push all the boards together so that they're nice and tight and close to each other. There was a lot of gaps, but we'll go on to that later. In fact, I'll just tell you now, we used air drying clay, which Jade found in a cupboard. She's had it for about 5 years, never had a use for it, never found use for it. We did. It's just basically a lump of clay that obviously dries in the air. So we took it out, rolled it into sort of sausage shapes, and filled in any gaps of that, and you can't really notice it unless you're looking really close. You can see some bits that are different texture to the actual board. But yeah, this was by far the worst part of the job, because foam against foam is incredibly squeaky. It was so bad that Jade actually had put her earphones in and wouldn't listen to me because it was such an annoying sound, like fingernails on chalkboard pad, or when someone scrapes a plate with a knife. It was grating. With that out of the way, it was now time to glue the foam to the board, and in comes good old PVA. Tastes just as good as it did when you were in primary school. Slathered it all over the board, and using my very expensive Games Workshop codexes and books, weighed it down so that it would firmly stick to the table. I don't think you can use super glue, or I think I used wood glue for the Oscillif board. There's no more nails, but I tried to use it this time. It had either ran out or it stuck in the can, it wasn't coming out. So PVA it was, and it's fine, it works. I know that PVA doesn't activate if there's oxygen or something like that, but I believe that foam is so porous that it does work. Look, I'm no expert, go watch Black Magic Craft if you want actual information. I'm just showing you how to build things like this as a complete noob. So yeah, PVA glue works with a lot of weight on top of it to hold it down, the weight of all the information stored in these books that I've retained none of. The last step of that day was to get a base coat on all of the foam. So what I used was a mixture of PVA glue and black paint, and I just slapped it all over. As you can see, it doesn't look great. This was probably the closest I came to binning the entire video and board. It looked horrible. I think it was too watery maybe. I put a little bit of water in it. I probably shouldn't have done that. I know that meant to like water down PVA glue, but I think I might put too much, maybe too much paint. Either way, it didn't work at all. But I had this fear of using spray paint on foam boards because everyone says it melts it, but they said if you put down like a coat of PVA and paint, you're fine. So PVA and paint it was, and I slapped it all over the board just to hopefully coat it and protect it, so if I did have to come back and spray paint it, which I would, it wouldn't destroy the foam. Right, it stopped raining, so I actually have time to run out and quickly spray paint this. This is how it looks at the moment. Still very blue, and it looks sort of nightimey, but it needs a black spray paint. So yep, as you heard from vlogging mode Rab, I decided to spray paint the board with the foam enemy of it, because the PVA and black paint just didn't work for me. Probably me. It's definitely me, because you see people do it and it's a time tested technique for actually doing it, but it didn't work for me. So I took it out and I spray painted it black. Then I ran out of black spray paint, which was great. Jade went to the shop to buy some more, put it in the cart along with a bunch of other shopping, and as she was making her way to the front desk of the store, there was a power cut on the entire street, so we got no shopping, and that includes the black spray paint. So I had to make do with what I had. With that out of the way, it was time to do some dry brushing. Now, I am not great at dry brushing normally, never mind with house size paintbrushes on a massive board, so this was quite a struggle for me, but probably easier if you're not daft like me. Started with some black paint and adding white to achieve 3 different colours of grey, dry brushing it slightly less each time, so there was a bit of a gradient, and hopefully breaking up the colour of the board a little bit. The scores in the wall for the bricks really helped this, making it look like actual brick. After all of the painstaking dry brush and decided to take a little bit of a break and paint something smaller. I'd 3D printed off some little trap doors as well as a well for throwing cheeky hobbits down. And of course a tomb, which I'm not going to show you quite yet. That's going to be part of the big reveal because you can't have balanced tomb without a tomb. So I painted up a couple of the trapdoors, just speed paint for everything really. I have some nice wild wood speed paint that took me 3 months to get, so I'm using that for any wood in the future. Some metallics for the knobs, shouldn't say that word, the doorknobs and the bolt, stuff like that, and the well just got a nice grey spray paint and some wood for the beams as well. Now to put it all together, and here it is.
Have a cave troll.
The only thing left to do now is paint a fellowship to go with it. Yeah, that's going to be a while. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching me make this board as much as I enjoyed making it myself. I can't keep my eyes off it. It's going to be a centerpiece of my room until I find out where I'm putting it. Not only am I looking forward to playing some scenarios on it with friends, I'm also going to use it as a display board for my best painted entry at the next tournament I'm going to, which is going to be the Scouring of Stirlingshire at the end of November, 25th, 26th November. The tickets sold out in like record time. I was very lucky to manage to get one. It's the biggest event in the Scottish calendar, maybe even the UK calendar, depending on how you look at it, and that is going to be part of my display board as I try my best to win best painted, because let's be honest, it's probably the thing I'm going to win, except maybe the wooden spoon. If you enjoyed the video, please like, please comment, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.